Hello, I'm Jazzy, and here's something a bit different on my channel, as you would probably tell. So simply put, I have been a fan of SML for a while now, and I've wanted to make my own videos about the channel like others do. Now we have approached 2025, and I would like to look back at 2024 SML and point out my favorites and, well, least favorite videos from that one year. Now, to put it simply, 2024 was not a good year for SML. For as many videos that have come out, there were not a ton that I remembered for being good or bad, really. In fact, I would say 2024 SML rivals 2020 in terms of the quality. Despite there being almost 160 videos from 2024, yes, 160, nearly. There are not a ton in the mix that I really remember for being good. So, these are the top 10 videos from 2024 that I love and, well, didn't love. And it'll go in the order like 10th best, 10th worst, 9th best, 9th worst, etc. Similar to someone else that made these kinds of lists. Now, please remember that these are my opinions, and it is perfectly fine to disagree with me. And please don't hesitate to share me your own thoughts in the comments below. So, let's get straight into it. So in recent years, Thanksgiving specials for SML have not had a good track record. Brooklyn Guys Thanksgiving in 2021 was awful. Thanksgiving Stain in 2022 was just bad. And the turkey problem from 2023 was just, well, okay. So when Goodman's Turkey was released for this year, my expectations were pretty low, but I was pleasantly surprised. And so was the rest of the fan base. So the video starts off with Goodman complaining about why he hates Thanksgiving because the stock market is closed, and just bullies Chives. Then the Prince of Abu Dhabi calls him and he says he'll give Goodman $1 billion to throw him a Thanksgiving dinner. So Goodman just yells at Chives again to make him an entire Thanksgiving dinner for him. So then the moment happens when Goodman takes a bite of the turkey and he turns into a turkey himself. Now this is the moment where the video starts to drag a little bit because Goodman is having trouble comprehending that he is in fact a turkey, despite Chives continuously telling him that. So then Chives gets the brilliant idea to kill Goodman as a turkey, so he can get the $1 billion and hopefully be off on his own finally. Then Goodman drives to Mario's house as a turkey and he gets pulled over by the Brooklyn guy in a scene I actually found pretty funny. So Goodman then approaches Marvin and asks him to help fix this, and then we get the classic scenario of the angel and the devil on the shoulders, which is another part I actually found pretty funny. So Goodman gets turned back human and then he pretty much just races home to give Chives a good old beatdown, as he usually does. The prince shows up at Goodman's house, and Chives tries to get the $1 billion for himself, but then the prince leaves because he's offended that Chives didn't eat Thanksgiving dinner with him. So the prince leaves, and Goodman comes storming back into his house, angrily looking for Chives. And then, the single funniest scene in the entire video comes into play. Just watch.
Where you at, Chives? You can't hide forever! Whenever I find you, I'm gonna give you $1 billion worth of pain! Where you at, Chives? Chives? Are you hiding in my grandfather's fucking ashes, you dirty son of a bitch? I wouldn't have anything to say either.
I'll tell you what, this part was way funnier than it deserved to be. Then, the video ends with Goodman making Chives take a bite of the turkey. While maybe a bit mean-spirited, Chives did kind of see it coming this time. While I wasn't a fan of the Chives torture and Goodman just being a jerk like he usually is, I enjoyed this video's plot for the most part, and I'd say it's a good beginning to start off this list. There was a lot of ways I could have started off the worst list, but let's start off with what could possibly be a controversial choice, Jeffy's Skibidi Toilet. I don't think it's much of a mystery that this is the year when people realize that brain rot is starting to become more and more of a problem. From what I've seen, It seems like people either liked this video or just downright hated it. And I'm sure you could guess where I stand. So the video starts off with a very slow beginning with brain rot references being rapidly fired by Jeffy, and Marvin is not understanding him one bit. So Marvin calls the Brooklyn guy and he says that Jeffy has brain rot, and the way to cure it is to defeat the Skibbity Toilet God. So the next few minutes are spent trying to get Marvin up to date with mewing, whatever that means. I don't understand this brain rot lingo. Then it turns into a long and disgusting scene with Shrek where Marvin has to kiss him for some reason. Don't ask me why. Then we finally get to see the Skibbity Toilet God, who is at least played by Pablo. But this scene was very frankly anticlimactic. They celebrate, and the video just ends with more modern brain rot slang, or whatever you would call it. I don't even know. Personally, I just downright hate all the lingo used in this video, and it was just all over the place in general. I never found the Skibbity Toilet stuff funny to begin with, so I was not really too happy to see SML make an entire video out of it. I get this video is made to make fun of brain rot, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. So, it's number 10 on this list. One thing to know about me is that I love Halloween. I'm in the process of watching a lot of classic slasher movies, and the SML Halloween parody that I enjoyed the most this year was Terrifier. I haven't seen all the way through the Terrifier movies, but what I have seen is that it's very gory. It starts off with Jeffy wanting to watch a scary movie, and they come across Terrifier with Pablo and Elena acting, which is already a treat. Pablo opens up the door and sees, you guessed it, Art the Clown. But he just thinks he's the pizza man, so Art takes an axe and chops Pablo up off screen. And Elena comes in and runs away after seeing Art. However, this is when Marvin turns the movie off. Then Junior, Joseph, and Cody come in and they all turn the movie back on. So Elena then hides in the closet, and then Art looks for his weapon of choice. So Art opens the door and grabs a chainsaw, and I'm pretty sure you could guess what happens next. Junior, Joseph, and Cody leave after getting sick from what they saw. And then we have a pretty funny scene with Cody's parents. But after this scene, that's when the real horror element comes into play for this video, which is what we've all been waiting for. So Art comes in while Cody is asleep with the hacksaw and does, well, stuff. Then Judith and Tyrone come back in, and, well, Art also pays them a visit. Personally, I've always found these two to be really funny, and this is no exception. We then go to Junior and Chef Pee-Pee, and Chef Pee-Pee reveals that he bet his life on the Yankees winning the World Series and lost it to Art the Clown. So, what does Art do? He proceeds to kill Chef Pee-Pee with a metal pipe, and after he's done with that, Art chases Junior down the house in a pretty funny way. Art then approaches Junior and Jeffy, but then Jeffy just knocks Art out in a bit of an anticlimactic way. And then this video just kind of ends. I enjoyed this video since it had some funny moments with Art the Clown, and the movie at the beginning was the best part. It was a good representation of what the Terrifier movies are actually like, but with a bit less blood because of, you know, YouTube. I didn't really care about Jeffy and Rose that much, but it was still a pretty solid spooky season video. So do you all remember when Penelope was introduced and she hated Junior? And rightfully so, because Junior is an absolute jerk to her. Well, long story short, now they're dating for some reason, and hence, Junior's crazy assumption was made. The video starts off with everyone going off script, which is definitely a good sign. Then Junior, Joseph, and Cody all go to school, and then the stupidest thing happened. And Junior assumes Penelope and Bully made out because they just spoke to each other for 10 seconds. Then Junior is just depressed for the entire rest of the video, and it drags on and on. They even bring up this pointless rant on water towers, and I just don't get it. It makes me surprised that a Nintendo animation wasn't in this video with all the filler there already was in here. So Bully and Penelope come over to see Junior and clear things up after what feels like forever, and the video just ends. This video was so boring to the point that it felt way longer than 11 minutes. especially considering the stupid water tower thing took over half the video. Overall, this video was just a whole lot of nothing, which leads me to say there isn't really a whole lot else I can add to this video. And this is unfortunately not the last assumption video on the list. One of my favorite classic SML videos was Super Bowl commercials, which included a bunch of funny commercials that were shown at the Super Bowl that year. So when they made the successor this year, Bad Super Bowl Commercials, I was pretty surprised, honestly. The video starts off with Brooklyn guy just talking, which is a common problem this year, but promise me this video does get better. The first commercial was with Elena as a patient and Pablo as a doctor who's just casually eating Doritos and just telling the patient that her son is dead very, very bluntly. The delivery in this commercial is just what makes it funny.
Doritos. It'll make you forget about your dead son.
Oh my god!
Next is a Snickers commercial that's made to be a joke at, just watch.
What a clear September day, and here I am stuck in the stupid plane. God, I hate flying. Sometimes I just want to crash this plane right into a building. No. You know what? I'm just gonna eat a Snickers. That's good. Yeah, that's much better. Now I don't feel like crashing a plane into a building.
Next is an Oreo commercial with Judith and Tyrone, so you already know it's funny. Next is the Skittles commercial using the phrase taste the rainbow with bubbles. Then there's the commercial with Jimmy Butler, whose delivery with the coffee he was promoting just made me chuckle. Next is a commercial with the Titanic crew that saved the ship from sinking with, well, these. Yeah, don't ask. Then we get a commercial with Ronald McDonald saying that Burger King sucks. Now, this one kind of overstayed its welcome, but it was still funny in some parts. Then Tom Brady shows up at the house and asks how they can rig the Super Bowl, because that's what this video had to be about for some reason. Then a commercial plays with Tom Brady promoting Coca-Cola and starts making out with some kid. Yeah, this is the only commercial here that I didn't really care for. Then the rest of the video is dragged out with Brooklyn guy just going on and on about his ways to rig the game. But admittedly, he had some funny impressions in there that made me chuckle. So while I didn't really like Brooklyn guy that much for bringing in filler in this video and for the unnecessary subplot with Tom Brady, the commercials themselves carried this video for me. Most of them got a good laugh out of me. There were two videos that come to my mind when I think of controversial videos from this year, and one of those videos being Jeffy's Naughty Magazine. Oh boy. So the video starts off with Barbara coming into Jonathan's room for some stuff to sell. With me not really enjoying these two characters, we are not off to a good start. Right off the bat, I could see all the things blurred on Jonathan's wall. And this is what leads to a distracting aspect for the literal entire video. So Junior, Joseph, and Penelope come to the yard sale, and Junior buys the magazines. The next few minutes is just wasted by Junior just trying to hide the magazines from both Penelope and Chef Pee-Pee. But then finally, halfway through the video, Jeffy finally comes in and takes a magazine for himself. Then Junior and Joseph get intrigued by the magazines, and Jonathan then comes to the door to try and get his magazines back. Jeffy then gets his magazine taken away from Marvin, and Jonathan comes back to get his last magazine back, and it turns into him, Marvin, and Chef Pee-Pee all fighting over them. And then the video just kind of ends. There is a lot of things wrong with this video, like the dumb plot and Jonathan. But the two biggest problems I have is the censoring and the fact that it's called Jeffy's Naughty Magazine. And while I don't really want to see the magazines, I still find the blurring incredibly distracting in this video. So the problem here is similar to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre SML made back in 2023. Except the difference here is that Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually a funny video, and Jeffy's Naughty Magazine was not. You'd think that YouTube taking this video down at least more than once would be a sign, but Logan insisted, because of course he would. I also can't stand that this video has Jeffy in the title, and yet he's only in the video for maybe a minute. I'm not even exaggerating either. So yeah, this video was just a boring mess that wasn't worth my time in the end. So Jeffy the lawyer is literally exactly what it sounds like. It starts off with Jeffy settling an argument between Junior, Joseph, and Cody suggesting Jeffy to take the bar exam so he could become a lawyer. So we're getting to the plot right away. The bar exam includes Jeffy smelling candy bars and guessing them correctly, which is a joke I saw coming from a mile away, but hey. It works. We then go to the courtroom with Judge Poobie with the case that Jackie Chu is getting accused of cooking cat and dog at his restaurant. Because of course he is. So Jeffy just simply uses the phrase, "Don't knock it till you try it." So Judge Poobie tries it and ends up loving it, and Jeffy then wins the case. We then get the case with Brooklyn Guy and Jonathan for Brooklyn Guy to get a restraining order against Jonathan for flirting with Karen so much. Now, Jonathan has always been a character I've never really liked, so this case was a bit annoying in that regard. So out of nowhere, Jeffy says booger 3 times, just as an excuse for Brooklyn Guy's imaginary friend Booger to come back up again. I mean, I appreciate the Beetlejuice reference, but no thank you, Logan. This is just filler. So Judge Poobie declares that Brooklyn Guy is insane, and Jeffy ends up winning the case again by utter accident. Next is the case with Judith and Tyrone for Judith wanting a divorce for Tyrone cheating on her. So they are arguing about who gets what. So Jeffy's solution is to just take a chainsaw and saw everything in half for each of them. Last is the case with Goodman running over a child, and the child's mom wants charges to be put against Goodman. So Jeffy just says to Judge Poobie that you weren't there, so you can't prove anything. So Jeffy just ends up winning the case again for some reason. Sure, whatever. Then the video ends with Jeffy saying he doesn't want to be a lawyer anymore because he don't like it. Again, whatever. The best part of this video was definitely Judge Poobie, who was just really funny while trying to follow the cases. Besides Jonathan and Booger being in this video, I really did enjoy this one. So, remember when I said Junior's Crazy Assumption wasn't the last assumption video that I talk about? Well, here comes Junior's Assumption. The main problem with this video is simple. It's boring and just full of Junior being paranoid. So Penelope goes to look for her phone in Junior's room, and Joseph tags along to help her. Junior follows them and finds them in bed together, only to then realize he was dreaming. So because of the dream, Junior is just paranoid with Penelope and Joseph being anywhere near each other, and he does literally everything in his power to keep them as separated as possible, instead of just simply asking them. The entire video is just full of coincidences happening between Penelope and Joseph, just to make this video happen, and it turns out to be a dream over and over again because they had to have some way to drag this video out even more than it already did. This was just a poorly structured video with Junior just being a jerk because of his own insecurities. There's really not much else I can add. This video was just nothing, repeating the same thing over and over again. So ever since Jeffy's 18th birthday, the birthday specials have been hyped up, and I ended up liking the different direction that Jeffy's 20th birthday went. This video just gave us some flashbacks and backstories with Jeffy's mom and dad. And I'm not going to go into much detail on this video since there isn't a whole lot to uncover, but this video does a much better job making us sympathize with Jeffy rather than Jeffy's parents. It actually does a good job sharing why Jeffy is the way he is and shows us the awful living conditions he had to endure when he was a kid. Throughout the video, Jeffy is reminded of these moments when he was with his mom. Even though these things seemed pretty convenient, I enjoyed how they were written out in this video. However, my favorite part of the video was the ending, where Jeffy got revenge on CJ for everything he did to both him and his sister, just like this.
Are you ready to die?
It's so over the top and I actually loved it. And Jeffy actually had a good reason for being reckless here. So in the end, I actually really liked this video since it had quite a bit of thought put into it, and actually made me sympathize with Jeffy a little more. Okay, maybe it's very, very, very little sympathy still, but it's still something. It still wasn't quite enough to make up for everything Jeffy has ever done to Marvin, but hey, at least it was done better this time around. To those who follow SML and compare the old Ken videos to the newer Ken videos, you'd probably realize that they don't hit quite the same as they used to. Hence is why Stinkken is landing a spot here on this list. It starts off with Ken stuck in Cody's butt after a game that he and Timmy were playing, so let's just move on right from that. Right off the bat, I groaned seeing Cody and Timmy due to me hating the Cody and Timmy ship as a whole. What I hate about it is instead of Cody being a nerd that just so happened to be gay, now he's just gay. And on top of that, I really don't like Timmy all that much as a character either. So they call the doctor to help get Ken out, and it's just drawn out to the bone with more unfunny jokes with Timmy and Brooklyn Guy. Brooklyn Guy just talks and talks and talks, with Timmy doing the occasional, "Oh, well, I like you, Cody" joke. And I guess it's supposed to be funny. It's not funny! So they get Ken out, and his head is missing. So they get his head back, and they find out Ken stinks. So Cody and Timmy go wash him with more soap, put him in the washing machine, and put him in the dishwasher. After none of that works, they try cologne, but it turns out Cody is just allergic to it, and it leads to more boring and uncomfortable scenes with Cody and Timmy. After none of those work, they try cologne, so they spray it on Ken, and it turns out that Cody is allergic to it. But in the end, this is just leading to more boring and uncomfortable scenes with Cody and Timmy that serve quite literally as filler, because they don't know where else this video can go. So they finally call the doctor again after what feels like forever, and Brooklyn Guy just smells and says the stink is coming from Cody himself instead of Ken, which then makes this entire video feel kind of pointless. There are a lot of problems with this video overall, like the lack of an interesting plot with lots of filler and unfunny jokes. However, the biggest issue I have with this is Cody and Timmy. Their quote jokes aren't even funny, but they instead just make me feel very, very uncomfortable. And on top of that, it also feels very forced to just make the Cody and Timmy ship happen. Unfortunately, this isn't the last Cody and Timmy video we'll see on the list. So towards the beginning of 2024, who remembers this? Yeah, this became a pretty big meme at the beginning of the year. So SML made the video, Jeffy Attacks the Judge. The video starts off with Marvin needing new batteries, so he and Jeffy go to Target to try and find some. Jeffy then sees a Minecraft Steve toy, but Marvin won't buy it for him, so he does the logical thing and steals it. They are then approached by the Brooklyn Guy, who then arrests Jeffy for stealing. We then go to the courtroom with Judge Poobie, who is always a joy to watch. Jeffy apologizes for stealing, and right when Judge Poobie is about to sentence him, Jeffy then attacks him. And not only did Jeffy attack him once, but he attacked him twice, and a third time before he killed Judge Poobie. And then he's replaced by, surprise, Judge Anthony. So Judge Anthony sentences him to death by 1,000,000 fire ant bites. So Jeffy then proceeds to kill Judge Anthony through the phone. So meanwhile, Marvin arrives back at home and sees on the news that Jeffy killed 2 judges. And then Brooklyn Guy comes to deliver the news as well. Brooklyn Guy then proceeds to tell them where Jeffy is and how Jeffy is locked up with a Nintendo animation. As much as I don't like Nintendo, I thought this animation served a better purpose than the majority of a lot of Nintendo animations that were in videos from 2024. Then Brooklyn Guy gets a call from James Cameron saying that Jeffy escaped, and Jeffy rushed back home saying that Shrek and Donkey saved him. Trust me when I say it makes more sense when you watch the video. Then it was revealed that Judge Poobie and Anthony were both still alive, and they paid Jeffy to attack them both, to make them believe that they were dead so they could go to Disney World. This reveal was definitely funner than it should have been, and the Brooklyn guy lets Jeffy go since he didn't kill anyone in the end. So while this video repeated the same joke a few times, they did it in a way to make it funny each time. And Judge Anthony combined made this the best courtroom scene of the whole year for me. And even Jeffy was decent in this video, which gives it a pretty high number 5 on my list. So now we're getting into the videos with almost nothing but filler. And first up is the power outage. It starts off with Jeffy wanting to play with chalk outside while it's raining for some reason. And the news comes up and we see a surprising cameo from Woody. Believe me when I say, the Woody cameo was the best part of the video, even though it only lasted for literally 10 seconds. Then we get a pretty unfunny representation from the weather girl that's on TV, and this becomes the joke for the literal entire video. So Marvin sees the weather girl and says she's attractive, and Rose just breaks down crying, and then Jeffy just starts breaking down crying for no reason. But then out of nowhere, Brooklyn Guy comes to add another minute of filler, which is then followed a sponsorship. Honestly, if sponsorships were saved to be shown at the end of the video, then I wouldn't mind them as much. Instead, it's forced somewhere in between the video, just to add more filler to it. So Brooklyn Guy comes out of the shower and asks Marvin if he'd bang the weather girl, and at the convenient time, Rose comes out to hear it. So Rose breaks down crying, and then, finally, the power goes on. Up until this point, besides the unfunny weather girl joke, nothing has happened in this video so far. It's just painful filler up until the power goes out, which is what the title entails, so that should be introduced towards the beginning of the video. But no, it's not. It's dragged on and on and on. Then it's just more Brooklyn Guy talking along with a very short and pointless Nintendo animation. Like, with how short it was, what was the point of it? I don't understand, besides the sake for filler. So Brooklyn Guy gets the idea to call Lightning McQueen. What? Since he controls the lightning. Which then turns into a long phone call scene with Brooklyn Guy and Lightning McQueen, with Lightning McQueen just saying "ka-chow" over and over again. Because, I don't know, I guess that's funny. Brooklyn Guy then concludes that he's losing his mind and goes to get water while being chased by Lightning McQueen, only for him to wake up for the whole entire thing to be a dream. Wow, this video is just all over the place and also going nowhere at the same time. Like, how is that even possible? So the video ends off with the exact same weather girl joke. Marvin says he'd bang her, and Rose is just conveniently behind her because, again, apparently that's funny. The video ends with Rose just crying, and that's it. Again, I have to ask, how on earth does this video go all over the place and also go nowhere at the same time? The plot is a mess and lazily filled in with filler and lots of unfunny jokes. The jokes with the weather girl and Lightning McQueen didn't fit this video at all, and just felt really forced to desperately try and be funny. With how much I've rambled on this video, it's kind of surprising it's only at number 5. But trust me, it gets even worse. SML's Final Destination is a parody of the movie, well, Final Destination. While I haven't seen the movie, I know what it's about. So Brooklyn Guy and Marvin's family both are packed to fly to Missouri. They get on the plane, and Brooklyn Guy has a dream about the plane crashing and says they need to get off the plane before takeoff. So they go back home and see that the plane actually crashed, killing literally everyone on board. While the Brooklyn Guy might have been right, things start to go downhill at home. Karen falls into the oven after getting her hand shredded off in, well, the garbage disposal. Jeffy gets decapitated by the ceiling fan, and Rose gets electrocuted in the bath. Brooklyn Guy then realizes these events are strikingly similar to the events of the Final Destination movie. So they said if they were gonna die, then they might as well die at a strip club. And Brooklyn Guy brings his bowling ball. As Marvin trips down the stairs, Brooklyn Guy accidentally drops the bowling ball down the stairs and then, well, crushes Marvin. So Brooklyn Guy arrives at the club only just to get shot. This was a very solid parody of the Final Destination movie, and was drawn out in a way that made me enjoy it. I didn't really care for the constant Brooklyn guy talking at times, but it's a video I still managed to enjoy and was well written out. If there is another example of a video that went absolutely nowhere, then look no further than Jeffy's Scream. So it said on the news that there is a power surge, deja vu, and the news says that children are being given a Scream canister from Monsters Inc. to supply energy. Man, we are already off to a slow start. So the Brooklyn guy comes over to give them the Scream canister, and the next 4 minutes or so is just Brooklyn guy talking and trying to be funny with Monster Inc. jokes. But, spoiler alert, they aren't funny at all! So Brooklyn guy tries to get Jeffy to scream to fill up the canister, and this is literally the entire rest of the video. It's just a dull, unfunny mess that's trying to be a rehash of Jeffy's hiccups. Except, well, it's way more boring. I really can't find anything else to say. This video was really just a whole lot of nothing, and just a sorry excuse to make another Jeffy video for more views. Hell, they even said that themselves in the video. They're so self-aware that it's not even funny. So one character that got overused in SML after he debuted is Ronald McDonald, but the business deal managed to be a video to feature him in a funny light. It starts off with Jeffy and Marvin butting heads, of course, so let's just skip right along that and get to the good part. Goodman knocks at the door and has a business meeting he wants Marvin to come to. The meeting is with McDonald's collabing with Velveeta Cheese. So the meeting starts with Goodman and Ronald gets bored right away. After some tempted cooperation, they turn the meeting around saying they'll go make the deal with Wendy's instead, which then finally gets Ronald's attention. Ronald said to give him 10 minutes to go make a call to Wendy's. So Ronald calls Wendy over for a date for a chance to try and kill her. So Wendy comes over, played by Elena by the way, and after a couple failed attempts to poison her, he just snaps her neck. So Ronald returns to the meeting and knows that Goodman and Marvin are lying now that Wendy is dead. So they both say they have a secret recording of Ronald admitting that he killed Wendy. So then Ronald says he'll sign the deal over dinner and tells Goodman to make a contract, and then he invites him over for dinner. Ronald then bursts through the door with a gun, which makes Marvin realize that, well, he doesn't want to make a deal. Before Ronald can kill them, Wendy comes and snaps Ronald's neck, and then Marvin gets nothing in the end. I personally think this is a good example of an over-the-top video done right. Ronald and Goodman were funny, and Wendy being in the mix also made this video really enjoyable. Remember when I said that the Cody and Timmy train wasn't over yet? Well, here's the other controversial video from this year that was taken down by YouTube. Cody's hot dog restaurant. So it starts off with Cody and Timmy saying they're starting a hot dog restaurant. So at least we're getting to the point right away. But things only go way downhill from here. The first 3 minutes of this video are just full of uncomfortable jokes from Cody and Timmy. And then we get to the actual restaurant part after that. Again, 3 minutes in. After that very slow start, the Brooklyn guy and Simmons both show up as the first customers, and Cody gets mad and says they have to suck the hot dog instead of eating it. Wow. So after another few minutes is wasted, Hank Huckerdoo then calls and gets a delivery order, and I'll be honest, I'm just barely following this video. So then someone shows up and asks for a business permit, which Cody and Timmy don't have, and then the restaurant just shuts down. This video has a lot of the same problems as Stinkin', but on a higher scale. Cody and Timmy were just not funny at all. They try so hard to make these gay jokes between these two, and it was never funny even once. It just weirds me out, and they just feel incredibly forced. And as a matter of fact, one of the top comments on this video before it got deleted was someone telling them to please get rid of Cody and Timmy's relationship. And if that's the case, you know this video did something wrong enough to be this low on the list. The never-ending hot dog jokes were so unbearable that I couldn't even finish this video when it first came out. But hey, I actually managed to do it this time around, but at what cost? Yeah, exactly. So Jeffy's Fast and Furious is another example of a good parody released this year. Jeffy, Jr., Joseph, and Cody are all approached by PJ Crenshaw, and he invites them to his party, but then changes his mind after he sees Jeffy's car. Cody then gives Jeffy the idea to compete in a drag race to try and get a better car so they can go to the party. We then get an awesome over-the-top scene of a drag race between Pablo and Elena. The drag race cinematography is by far the best part of this video. Then Jeffy shows up and challenges Pablo to a drag race. But Pablo tells him he'll be racing the prince instead. They both race and Jeffy ends up losing. He returns home and sees Richard there, and he gets to borrow his dad's car to beat the Lamborghini. Jeffy comes back to the track and challenges the prince to another race, and he actually ends up winning this time. But in order to become a part of the family, Pablo says that Jeffy has to beat Dougie. Jeffy accepts the challenge and races again, and, well, he wins again. Pablo then thinks Jeffy is good enough to race him, so they race each other as a final token of Pablo's respect, and Jeffy ends up winning again. Then the prince comes back again for a rematch to get his car back. Jeffy loses, but then it makes the family depressed. Jeffy goes back home with no car, and the video just kind of ends, honestly. What sells this video for me are the characters and the cinematography. The notable characters were definitely Pablo, Elena, and Dougie, who are all great in the footage of the drag races. And the footage they ended up getting for the drag races themselves were definitely the best part. You can tell they really put some effort in this video. Okay, so here comes Cody's stolen penny, which surprisingly gives me a bit of vibes from Cody's bad word, which, well, isn't good. So Cody comes to show Junior his coin collection. Cody puts down a penny, and Junior gets a lint roller to clean up some hair on the couch and scoops it up by accident. We then get another out-of-nowhere sponsorship shoved into the video, which I've already explained why I'm not a fan of, so let's just move on from that. So Cody gets mad and accuses Junior of stealing the penny, and this is literally the quote-unquote joke of the entire 13-minute long video. So 8 minutes in, Cody calls the cops over a stupid penny, and then we go to the courtroom with Judge Poobie. Well, at least Judge Poobie is here, but it's all ruined with Cody just being insufferable. So they go back home, and they find the penny stuck to the lint roller, and all is good, I guess. There are two big things that make this video so insufferable for me to put this video at number 2 on the list. One is Cody being an unreasonable jerk for the entire video after he jumps to conclusions for Junior stealing a freaking penny. And for once, I actually side with Junior here, because, well, he didn't actually steal it, which is something that rarely happens nowadays. The second thing is that the missing penny is literally in bird's eye view for the entire time they are on the couch. I'm not quite sure why they thought stretching this video out for as long as they did was funny. You would think that Cody would be smart enough to maybe spend a minute or so just looking where he left it, instead of just jumping to conclusions about Junior stealing it and not asking Junior any questions whatsoever. But no, we can't do that because the video would then end. This would have been an easy pick for the number 1 spot for 2024, but however, I do think there is something worse. But before we get to the number 1 spots, let's list some honorable and dishonorable mentions. Let's start with the honorable mentions. Jeffy's piano lessons was funny with Craig. Junior's big playtime 2 and 3 were good, but it didn't really do anything too special with the playtime formula. The free pizza had a funny plot, but it didn't really do anything too special for me. Sister Location was good, but not as good as the previous FNAF videos, and worth mentioning due to the effort put into the set design. Christmas Play and Satan Claus both were very, very solid Christmas specials for this year. And now for the dishonorable mentions. There were a lot of candidates here, but I'll just list the ones I think are worth mentioning. Junior Kidnaps Penelope was just another Junior Penelope video with Junior being unlikable. The rigged game was just another dumb video for an excuse to include Tom Brady again. Shrek's Endless Cheesecake was supposed to be the great return of Shrek, but Brooklyn Guy just ended up taking over the entire video. Jeffy and the Jeff Monks was just annoying. Junior's Trust Me issues is just the same mistrust plot they've used for like 5 times now. Jeffy breaks Marvin's back is just more Marvin torture that's just a stupid video. Cody Dies is exactly what it sounds like and is just so freaking boring and probably would have been number 11 on my list. And last might be controversial, but I'm going to put the Cody Goes to Kindergarten and the 2024 Summer School series on this list. I just never understood what others saw in these series. Every episode besides maybe 1 or 2 had just no plot at all. But now, let's get to the number 1 spots. The rarity in modern SML are Bowser-centered videos. The last one to my knowledge was Meeting Charlie back in 2022, which turned out to be one of the best videos of that very forgettable year. So watching the Charlie and Friends problem from this year was a treat and the best video from this year in my opinion. So the video starts off with Bowser watching the classic Charlie and Friends intro, and he's happy to watch the show as he always is, and he wishes it'll never end. We then cut to the people behind the show, including Heather, played by Lena, Steven, played by Anthony, and the CEO, played by Pablo. The CEO says that Charlie and Friends wasn't doing so great, and showed them the thumbs down from the TV network, as he takes out his frustration on the writers who are both Heather and Steven. The CEO threatens them to come up with an idea to bring the show back up. After some ideas that he hates, he ends up pointing a gun at Steven's head, and at that moment, Heather suggests going animated with bright colors and lots of farts. So the CEO sends Steven home and loves Heather's idea. Because of how over the top Anthony and Pablo are, this was absolutely my favorite part of the video, although it might have went on for a little too long. Bowser then sees the news that Charlie and Friends is getting a complete reboot, and is not happy about that. So we then get the introduction of the reboot, animated by Nintendo. As much as I really don't like Nintendo, this animation actually served a good purpose for this video, and it was actually a good representation of how a lot of kids shows are nowadays, full of bright and flashy lights, fart jokes, and, well, low-quality animation. Bowser has a great meltdown after he sees the reboot, and he gets the idea to call the people behind the show and threaten them with violence to bring the old Charlie back. He calls to get the address to the headquarters, and he heads straight there. So Bowser approaches the CEO and Heather with a gun, and the CEO pulls his gun back out as well. He tries telling Bowser everyone hated the old Charlie by getting Heather to show him the thumbs down, only for them to find out that they were holding the thumbs down upside down, and it was actually a thumbs up, which is something that Steven mentioned earlier. So because they realized people liked the old Charlie, they decided to bring it back. It turns out the CEO left Steven in the trunk of his car, so he went to get him out and say that, well, he ended up being right about the thumb actually being up. But it turns out Steven pooped in the truck, so the CEO left him there for a little while longer. This was almost a perfect SML video. The plot was great, the characters were funny, there was an actual good Nintendo animation that actually served a purpose, and the ending was also really funny. Only thing holding this video from a 10 out of 10 is that a couple of the scenes went on for a bit too long despite me loving most of them. But that doesn't dampen this video too much. All of this makes the Charlie and Friends problem my personal favorite SML video of 2024. On this hand, you got this near perfect video. But, on the other hand... Okay, so do you all remember the massive success of Pixar's Inside Out 2 from 2024? Yeah, I bet you could probably see where this is going. Personally, I liked the movie. So when Inside Jeffy 2 was posted, I watched it right away. And... oh boy. I cannot state how much this video ended up disappointing me. Simply put, this video is just lazy, ugly, full of merch plugs, and just a complete cash grab to write off Inside Out 2. If we go back to 2017, you might remember the original Inside Jeffy. Personally, if I ignore the fact that it came out right after Jeffy's parents I think it's actually a decent Jeffy video. So I hoped Inside Jeffy 2 would be a good successor. But guess what? It wasn't. Where do I even begin? Well, let's start with the beginning. It starts off in a similar way as the original Inside Jeffy, except we go inside Jeffy's head, only to find... Nintendo. Right away, I could already see how lazy they came to be with this cash grab of a video. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Nintendo animations are not good, except for a couple instances. But guess what? This is not one of those instances. Instead of taking the time to make a good green screen background and make some different puppets to match the emotions, we just get Nintendo. Aren't we lucky? On top of the ugliness, Logan of course had to choose this video to plug the new Jeffy piano. And this product placement is literally implemented throughout the entire video. We haven't even really gotten to the actual plot yet. So let's just do that now. Jeffy, Junior, Joseph, and Cody all decide to play with fireworks indoors, and Junior lights the firework while it's still in Cody's hand like the good friend that he is. So we then go to the hospital, and this just plays out as Cody torture. And it ends up triggering anxiety in Jeffy, because Jeffy was worried that that could have happened to him. So the Brooklyn guy comes over and just gives Jeffy an anxiety pill, and it just gets rid of anxiety inside Jeffy. So the hospital part and the part that Brooklyn guy came over to treat Jeffy was just so drawn out and just obviously filler. So after anxiety is gone, there's only 2 minutes of the video left. And what do? They use 2 freaking minutes in this video to promote the Jeffy piano. Again, why? You know what? I'm done with this video. Simply put, it's just a lazy mess that's one giant ad disguised to make you click on it because it's based off a popular movie that came out that year. So once again, overall, 2024 was not a good year for SML. Despite the good videos that I've listed, there are still some notable flaws with them. The bad videos outnumbered the good videos this year. And that same thing can be said about 2020 as well. Let's hope that 2025 is a better year for SML, and maybe they could slow down videos a little bit so they can have more time and effort put into their content. If you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you. This is by far the video I put the most effort into. So please consider giving this video a like and a subscribe to my channel, and maybe even share this video. If there's a crowd of people that like this video, then I would be happy to do more SML content in the future. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I am DJ Jazzy Jake.